Y'all make sure at the door, hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. So let's talk about Preacher. Preacher from the Preacher crew. Yes. Preacher Heatley. So Preacher, I have some connections. I have connections to a lot of gangsters. Okay, real deal, Holyfield gangsters that's living that life for real. And I felt like I wanted to tell you about what was going on with Preacher. A lot of people don't know what's going on with Preacher and the Preacher crew and everything behind the actual arrest of Preacher. And Preacher was stone cold-blooded, okay? He was out of the Bronx and Harlem. You know, he ran out of Harlem and the Bronx, and he was ferocious, okay? Complete animal, complete. He had a team where they would catch you, they would take you into this basement, and you wouldn't come out that basement. Not only that, they would dismember your body. They would chop you up with a chainsaw and spread your body in different places all around various cities. He was known for this. His crew was known for this. The Preacher crew was one of the most feared groups out, period, including the mob, the Italian mafia. The Preacher crew is black individuals who got together, I feel like, on a whole psychotic warpath, if you ask me. They went around the city terrorizing. Now, Preacher is actually, he knows Rich Porter's uncle named Apple. Preacher was actually effing Apple in the state pen when he was actually in the state penitentiary before Preacher was out terrorizing everybody in the world. I'm taking you back way before this guy was dismembering bodies. His crew is known for 50 or more homicides. That's on record. Okay? Preacher was sexing Apple, Rich Porter's uncle. And Apple was a punk. That's just the bottom line. He's still alive in Attica somewhere. I know he was there for a long time. I don't know exactly where he's at, but I know he was in Attica. And he was being taken down by Preacher, period. Apple came home. Preacher came home. Apple started to get jealous of his nephew. Apple started to get jealous of his nephew, Rich Porter, and all of the money he was making, and all of the clout and attention he was receiving. from big time gangsters. You know, deep down inside, Apple probably didn't want to be living the life he was living. He probably didn't. He probably didn't want to be sexed on by men like Preacher. Who knows if it was forced on him, or who knows if he actually just liked it. Who knows? But from what it tells me, he didn't like it. From what it tells me, he was mad at himself. He didn't like who he was as a man, or as an alleged man. And you know, when you're in behind that wall, you in that state, in them prisons, you know, it's going to be known very, very early and quick if you are a man inside or if you are a girl inside. It's just the bottom line. That's all that is. Because they're going to get at you. Now, I know some gangsters that Preacher respected, period. When Preacher got out, he wrote to the people that I know and was going to go on a visit to go see these people as well. He respected a lot of these people. But if he didn't respect you, man, it was like a goldfish to a shark. That's the best way I can put that. So Apple comes home and tries to get, or he tried to get Preacher to kidnap his Apple's own nephew. And they wanted to do it for a ransom. See, Preacher was going around robbing the robbers. He was robbing everybody. He was an extortionist. He was selling dope, drugs, you name it. The Preacher crew was doing it. The Preacher crew was so notorious. We talking about even more so than the Italian mafia. They were so notorious that they are the reasons why the federal government sent the feds down to local projects and street corners to get after the local gangs in the community. The Preacher crew is directly responsible for that. Through their actions, the first federal task force attached to the state local police was formed. This is how vicious this actual gang was. And yes, of course, this kidnapping a nephew from Rich Porter and from Apple, or kidnapping Rich Porter's little brother and the nephew of Apple, was seen to be kibbles and bits to the Preacher crew. But they did it. They actually kidnapped Rich Porter's nephew. Now, according to, Rich Porter's brother. Now, according to Preacher's son, who Preacher ratted on, because Preacher ratted on everybody, on his whole entire crew, including his daughter. Now, according to Preacher's son, Preacher did not order the killing of Apple's nephew. Apple went along without the knowledge of Preacher himself and went on and killed his own nephew. That's the word. You know, I don't understand how a man could. I just can't even put that into words. That is just, I mean, it's so ruthless out here on this planet. At times, it's just unreal. I mean, unimaginable on the heinous acts that these people inflict